Well, I went to Harbor Freight again, grabbed some stuff. I've been wanting a drill press for a while, but I didn't want a huge one because I used to have one of them, but I sold it. But this one here is not that big, so it's kind of my size. I think it'll fit up on this bench pretty good. When that's assembled, I got a Central Machinery drill press vise, just for holding things steady while you're drilling into them. And this thing does have an adjustable, I don't know, you'd call it table, platform, whatever that is, so you can adjust that. Wow. Some assembly required. Okay, I think that's everything. I gotta turn the heater on here, so it's gonna be loud, but I'm just gonna put this thing together. Sorry if you want this to be a how-to video, but there's really not a lot to it anyway. So there's just a base, the part that the whole system sets on, and there's a few bolts and then an adjustable platform. So I don't know if it's just me, but that heater is just so loud, it seems like. Thought I was missing something. And this is a weird looking drill press. Where's the drill part? Pretty easy. What kind of doohickey is this? So as you can see, it wasn't too hard to put together. It's not a very big drill press, and I knew that when I bought it. I didn't want a big one. I just thought it would be nice to have a small benchtop one that I can mess around with, and it's pretty nice. It's got a decent size electric motor on there. Got all kinds of adjustments. I mean, you can tilt this plate this way, spin it 360 degrees, go up and down. You can adjust the depth of your chuck going down. This little piece right here came off. I'm not really sure what that was for, so I gotta look at that. It's got the same style pulley thing here that my very, very old drill press used to have. And it has the spindle speed belt settings on here. And it's also in the directions that I didn't read. You know, you can see your RPMs and then kind of different drill sizes and material and all that crap. Speed range. Yeah, so your max is pretty much your highest torque setting, which would probably be this configuration. So big pulley to little, which is exactly what it's at now. If this sticker corresponds with this right now, which it should. So that means 200 to 800 RPM, and iron, you can cut a 1/2 inch hole 12.5 millimeters deep. Is that what that means? But all nice and new. Like I said, I got this little drill press vise that I think I can probably come up with something here to fasten this down, which, to be honest with you, I could probably just throw like 2 bolts through this part and I can easily swing this around. So it's nice having drill presses are dangerous. When you're holding a drill and you're, you know, putting a hole in something, you hold the drill, and if anybody's ever, you know, had the drill catch on something and about break your wrist, this is sort of the same way, except typically with drill presses, instead of, you know, the drill spinning around, it's gonna take whatever your piece is and throw it somewhere one way or another. And I remember in high school a long time ago, kids not doing things right, and they'd, you know, they'd have some piece of something fly across the shop room. But anyway, I'm gonna find some bolts, stick this in there. So it's a good thing I ran and got bolts when I was working on another project. I had to go run and grab a ton of bolts. This isn't the best solution, but I'm just gonna do it for now, just for science. I just want to see how it works. Boom. Pretty much right on top of that dot. It's experimental. There's a better way to do this. In fact, I could probably come up with something. I just need to think about it more. But for now, I needed it the other day, and then of course now that I don't need it is when I really want to test it. Cool. And then this bolt right here, I believe if you loosen that just a little tiny bit, you can angle this entire platform. And then, like I said, you can adjust these, so then you can only drill, you know, if you bring this down to about right there, it'll only let you go like an inch or whatever you want to go to. Yeah, I like it. It's cool. I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on here. I did something weird and then it kind of weird crap is going on here. Phillips. Good. See, I threw all my stubby screwdrivers away, and then I found some, and I was like, Glad I had some still, because they come in handy in situations like this. So I hate throwing crap away. That's why I'm a hoarder, because I'm always afraid of getting rid of something that I might need. I think that's pretty much how it's supposed to work. This little piece of metal just acts as a spring, kind of, so with no pressure, it just sits on there, and then you just, and then it's shut. So I had to tighten these down when I was assembling it. Cinch them down just a little bit more. But since gravity is holding this thing on top of this anyways, they're not that important. Assuming that's for the chuck, which is cool. Way to be smart and put crap like that on tools so then people don't lose stuff that's important. That's why I love Bauer. Bauer's got it going on. I don't know if I pressed this chuck on there correctly. The directions had its own wordage that kind of made sense and kind of didn't. I don't know. But it seems to just be a press fit type deal, which, you know, whatever. However that works. In fact, just for fun here, let's go all the way down. Whoops. There we go. Okay. One of the things I hate most about drills is how pretty much every hand drill I've ever had has had a crappy chuck in it. I hate it when they let go of bits, especially with metal. Wood's no problem, wood is easy, but trying to cut metal, steel, and your stupid bit, it stops and then your whole chuck just goes in circles around it. It's not plugged in. Let's plug this thing in. If I read the directions right on that thing that was in this cover, it should be on the lowest RPM setting, which is most likely the highest torque. Interesting. Right in my eyes. Wow. That's funny. I don't know if it's my eyes deceiving me, or if this drill bit is bent, or if I put it in crooked, which, you know, I don't really know how you do that, but try a different bit for science. Yeah, I think it's just these wood bits look weird when they spin. Loosen this thing up so I can rotate it. This thing is only going to go about a ½ inch into this piece of wood. Easy now. Well, that didn't work, did it? Now it should go about a ½ inch in, but not through it. That's funny. Hilarious. Let's see, did I do it properly? About a ½ inch deep hole. Cool. Wood is so easy compared to metal. Like it's not even close. Steel is a really hard material to work with. It's even harder when you're dumb like me and you have goofy tools. But I can keep an oil can around here, which you may notice in some of my videos that I do use one. If you would have told 16-year-old me to use oil when I was cutting metal with the drill, I would have told you to kick rocks. But now that I'm older, it's like, saves my expensive drill bits from getting worn out too fast, cools them down a little bit, so I use it. And oil is plentiful, so. And this is a super old little unit here. Yep. Alrighty, I've waited long enough. I need to give this thing a try on metal instead of just wood. Alright, got my little power bank down here that you can't see, but conveniently located right there. Okay, we need to put a bit in. Chuck is conveniently located on the side. One of the things I really like about this. Let's see, how big of a bit? Let's try one that's a nice one. I want to try a bit that's in decent shape first to actually see how it should behave. And then I'll put a crappy bit in and see what that does. Got this piece of square tubing remnants from a project I did. Okay, I'm gonna raise this thing up just a little bit. That's the nice thing about this is it's very adjustable, so. And it helps if I'm not in the corner like this, but I have crap all over my bench, so I'm kind of forced to do this right here. But once it's moved over and I have more room, it'll be a lot easier to adjust this and do whatever needs to be done to it, so. All right. This can be adjusted too, so you can slide this, but I'm probably gonna come up with something different for this vise, drill press vise. Also, this thing, the way that the belt's configured, it's at its highest torque setting right now, which is supposed to be capable of 1/2-inch steel, so. And that's depends on your bit as well, but it should be pretty slow speed compared to some of the higher ones. Now, I am gonna use a little bit of oil. It just helps cool it, I think, maybe. And these are already, you know, vulnerable bits from Harbor Freight, being that this whole thing right here was only 10 bucks, so obviously they're not that great. Okay, try to do this without, hold on. You know, I kind of laughed at that little light at first, but honestly, having that right there where you're drilling is actually really nice. So that's cool. I want to try not to break that, because every tool I've ever gotten, like a benchtop tool like this, whether it's a bandsaw, scroll saw, whatever, I always broke these. So now, I used to have a drill press. It was oh man, I can't remember what kind it was. But it was really, really old, but it did work pretty well. And I don't know why, but I would think, like, drill presses they always drill so nice. Like, that didn't even take that long, and it drilled a perfect hole, no smoke. No squealing, screeching, none of that until kind of the very end. But I almost wonder if like having a fixed angle, like when you're doing it with a drill with your hand, you can be all over the place and you're not really drilling straight. So then the cutting edge on the tip of the bit, is like not always cutting properly, and you got to push down on it real hard. I was really barely pushing on this thing, and it cuts so nice. It just shaves it off. Notice how there's not pieces everywhere, and maybe that's because it's spinning slower than the drills that I usually use, because I'm usually full out with those, going as fast as you can. But this nice and slow cut just as well, actually way better than all my hand drills. It really is nice. Not a lot of room to record either, but loosen this up a little bit. Probably should have gloves on. This stuff is really sharp. Still got oil on it, which is okay. All right. The reason that I'm raising this is so you can see it better. Otherwise, I would just leave it at the bottom of this vise and then do it that way. But for purposes of trying to show this in action, that's why I'm lifting that piece of square tubing up. I made a point in another video that one of the reasons I really like this power strip, like right now, jeez, it's always red dawn out there. If you work for a company that follows, OSHA and everything, you're supposed to do lockout, tag out on stuff when you do work to things or repair stuff, or I don't really know about like blade changes and stuff. I don't know. But anyway, what I'm saying here is that I need to change this bit out, but right now all you have to do is touch that and it'll turn on, right? So instead of having to unplug it, which I wouldn't do anyways, but I'm just saying for safety reasons and just like, for learning purposes, this power bank is nice because you just shut that power bank off and then you removed your source of power for this. So I can change that out and not worry about it turning on or hurting me or whatever. So that's one plus side to that power bank. I am gonna try, go down a little bit. I want to try something larger. I'm a professional. I'm gonna try something larger, and I'm gonna try something, this bit had never been used prior to that. So that's what a sharp bit is like. Now, I'm gonna try a bigger bit, and I'm gonna try one that I basically assaulted the last time that I used it. Which, oh yeah, easily that one right there. That one's gacked up bad. I've been looking into drill bit sharpeners, but every time I think about buying one, I realize that I'm just running crappy Harbor Freight bits anyway, so like, what's the point? It's 10 bucks for a whole new set, Yeah, I could buy some expensive German ones that last forever. I'm not doing that. I'm not a pro or machinist or anything. It's not that huge of a deal. I know we have a throwaway cheap world now, but money is still a thing. Whoop. Re-energize the system. Lights back on. Okay. I want to film closer. How do I do this? Okay, I'm running out of battery here. Give this thing a shot. I'm not gonna add any oil. It's pretty oily already. This drill bit is a piece of crap too. It's burned up. It's not sharp at all. I'm putting a lot of pressure on it. It's cutting. Smoking a little bit. Let's see if adding oil helps at all. That's amazing. That's awesome. Look at that. And this is a bad bit. Made a little bit of noise, and I did see a little bit of smoke, but that's, I mean, somewhat normal, but that's impressive to me, because if I would have been doing that with a hand drill, that would have been a different story. I put decent pressure on it, but I wasn't like putting a, you know, I wasn't like struggling to really, you know, I was just pushing on it and kind of letting it do its thing. And then the further down it gets, the more I push, and it's just, you know, interesting. And you know what? Honestly, I should really have like some safety goggles on and gloves at the least. If you've ever had a drill bit snap on you, it's not fun. Very cool though. I'm impressed, honestly. I'm sure this thing's hot now, but let this thing drop since I don't have gloves on. Ah, it's funny. Okay, now I can't remember what size chuck this thing said it has on it. Let's see if I can fit my largest bit. I doubt I don't think I'm gonna be able to fit that. Oh man, my $300 camera. Okay. I highly doubt this thing's gonna fit there. Whoops. Gotta get this thing out of the way a little bit. It's really nice that moves out of the way. You gotta be kidding me, that works. Oh. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna swing this back. We're just gonna make this hole just a little bit bigger. Tighten this thing up so it doesn't move on us. Okay. A little noisy. I can't tell if this thing's noisy because it's rattling or just because it's, you know, fighting it so bad because the bit sucks that it's just being noisy, but it went through it. Now, if I wasn't using this oil, that bit and then that piece would be heating up way hotter than it is now. And then, you know, it burns the tip of your bits up. You can always tell sometimes your bits or your piece will turn purple and blue and green and everything. That's way too hot if you're drilling. So that's the kind of thing that happens when you're welding. You know, if you're drilling and getting that kind of heat, it's probably not good. I'm not a machinist or anything, but and maybe I need to reiterate that this has a 3rd horsepower electric motor on it. So that's the kind of power it's working with. And like I said, right now it's at its lowest lowest setting for speed, which is its highest torque. I could probably modify this little thing right here so this thing was easier to tighten and loosen. Probably could make something come outward that had a really good handle on it, or a T-handle maybe. Something better than this little doohickey. But get this thing out of here. Oh yeah, safety first. That's all you have on this channel. It's just pure safety in every video. 0 chance of any injuries. Awesome. Gotta love those little shavings you get everywhere. Highly recommend it. I'm always happy with Bauer's tools. Not bad for the money this thing costs. So now when I'm doing some fabricating projects, I'll have this little setup if I need to drill some, you know, holes, and saves your wrist, you know, from using crappy bits and then having it bite in and it turns the drill instead of the bit, and then, you know, you mess up your wrist and everything. So it's kind of a safety thing really, but works really well and I highly recommend it. Again, this is a Bauer 8-inch drill press, and this here is a Central Machinery drill press vise, which as of this video filming right now is $14.99 at Harbor Freight, but when the sale is over with, it's going to go back up to $19.99, but that's still really cheap. And even though this thing is cheap, it's very nice to have. You don't want to just freebase any pieces on here and hold your piece and do the drilling at the same time. That is so dangerous. And even using like a clamp underneath of this fence or this platform holding your piece, that's still dangerous. This is nice because it has 2 bolts in it that go through the adjustable slides in this platform. And this thing, or the piece especially, is definitely not going to go anywhere. So you're not going to have any accidents as long as you make sure your platform's tight. But a lot of safety things here that I never really thought about until kind of buying this. And good bits always help, but if you're like me and you're cheap and you don't do enough huge projects to justify expensive bits, these bit sets from Warrior go on sale all the time for $9.99, which is insane considering that you get all these, the case, and they actually cut metal really well until you burn them up like I do. So you can't beat that. 10 bucks for that. All right, if anyone has any questions, concerns, comments, anything, make sure to let me know. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.